Hello and welcome to this video. My plan on this video is to react to a video by the YouTubers called ColdFusion. And they've done a video called Did AI Just End Human-Made Music? And it features Rick Beato. It went really well. I said some stuff that I hadn't really thought before, so I was really pleased with it. And then I've just gone and had a look at the screen grab that I was reacting to, and it hasn't come out. It's just not good at all. I can't use it. The sound you can hardly hear on it, and it keeps jumping and making noises. So I've scrapped that. But what I'm going to show you now is my answers to the reactions. So you're going to see a video of not necessarily my reactions. You're not going to see the bits where I just stare and listen to what they're saying, but I'm going to put the questions up that were asked Rick Beato and the sort of topics, and then I will put my answers up. I've got to be honest, I only looked at a very short section and I talked for a long time on these things. So I just want to explain what's going on here. So there'll be a link down below to the video if you want to watch it, and then you can see my reactions to it and see if that works as a video. The interesting thing is that one of the themes that came out that I think is going to be very difficult for AI to do is random incompetence, which I am, of course, an expert in. And this is why I thought I should do this, you know. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. Hello, welcome to this video. I'm going to be reacting to a video by ColdFusion, which is called Did AI Just End Human-Made Music? And it features Rick Beato. And I'm going to be looking at the part where ColdFusion actually interviews Rick Beato and reacting to that. This is about 16 minutes into the video, actually 16 minutes and 55 seconds. And he expertly runs through all the issues and cultural machinations involved in AI music running up to this point. But I thought it'd be interesting to see the conversation and have a reaction to that. So that's what I'm about to do. So let's see what's going on here, shall we? Rick's observation is very interesting because his channel is actually existing off a lot of people who play musical instruments, usually older people, middle-aged people, you know, the sort of middle-aged man with the guitar syndrome, and they go online and they become fans of Rick Beato, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so it's in Rick's interest for there to be lots of people out there playing guitars. Now, you got to remember that's an industry. It's actually part of the music industry. And a lot of people, when they pick up a guitar, they want to be part of the music industry, but they're not. They're still on the customer end, buying instruments, reading magazines and watching videos like Rick Beato's, and to some extent my videos. So Rick can smile there a little bit because he knows that as long as that bit's there, he's probably got some sort of fan base to keep going. And that really shows you already how the industry has changed and how performed music is now a pastime rather than an art form. It's something that people do as a hobby, like, you know, like fly fishing or baking cakes. It's a pastime, and people are interested in doing that. And whilst that has happened, that hobby is there, and the hobby is referring back to a whole host of music in the old days, like Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and Nirvana and Oasis or whatever it is it refers back to, whilst contemporary music has already moved on a long time ago. It's already moved on to not being performed music, right? That's the way it is. It's like, even as soon as you play an instrument into a computer, into a DAW like Pro Tools or Cubase or Logic or GarageBand or whatever it is, once you've got it in there, it's manipulated in a certain way. Now, this manipulation's been going on right back to the 1980s when sampling was first invented, and I think this is something that needs to be taken on board a little bit. Anyway, let's all right, so my thoughts on that is, yes, no one can compete with AI in terms of making lots of stuff. The way Spotify works is, if there's a massive motivation for the record companies and Spotify to have AI generated stuff up there, because the ad revenue that goes to the artist, if they own it, or the label, if they own it, is now entirely going to Spotify, you know, or the label if they get involved in this. So I'm sure there's a war going on at the moment now between the record labels that want to own all this AI stuff and Spotify that will want to own all this AI stuff. But anyone can go out and do it. Now, the question that will come up is whether AI is just new music that's been created by artificial intelligence, or it's just the next level in sampling. And I would say what we've got here is just the next level in sampling. So if you took an album like Introducing by DJ Shadow, that album is entirely made out of samples. You know, the drums, the bass lines, the keyboards, the atmosphere, the vocals are all sampled from other records. It's been put together in a way that when you listen to it, you don't go, oh, that's the old record. It's been reconstituted. Now, the thing with popular music is this has happened since day one. American popular music grows out of American folk music, which is a conglomeration of all sorts of different styles running into that. But as it's folk music, it's the same song being over and over, done over and over again. And so this is why when rock music emerged in the 60s and it was pulling on those American folk forms, bands like Led Zeppelin and Fleetwood Mac and Cream were just reconstituting old blues songs, which were reconstitutions of old folk songs that go back into the ether. So if you look at it, it's not some sort of revolution, it's just the next stage on. And you could see a slow move, you know, when we get to the 70s and you get DJ Kool Herc and he's taking, you know, old funky soul records and taking the, you know, the break out of it and then rapping over the top. And then when the sampler's coming and you can start to sample stuff, so you start to do new songs over a loop so you can recognize the song. But before you know it, you can't recognize the song because they've taken a bass drum out of that track and a snare drum out of that track and a vocal gasp out of that track. And I think the problem here is calling it AI. It's not artificial intelligence. It's just a computer going out there and sort of sampling. Now you could say, but it's not proper sampling because it's constituting it from the ground up. But you got to think what sampling is. It's just taking something, chopping it up into numbers, and then using those numbers to regurgitate something else, which is exactly what AI is. I think that you cannot, with AI, you could not go to them and say you are committing a copyright infringement, and that sounds a little bit like Nirvana, so Nirvana shouldn't get it. But I think you could pass a law that all AI music cannot be copyrighted because it's obviously constituted out of things that exist before, and that would change the game. If the only way you could get copyright and royalties was from really performed music, then I think make as much AI music as you like, it just doesn't matter. I'm going to get on, hopefully, on why I think real music is better and why it will survive. I do think that's the case, but it's a very strange argument. Anyway, let's carry on, see what they say. So here's another thing that I'm just going to add in. I'm not to criticise what they're saying is great. There's no point in doing this video if I don't actually come in and throw my two penneth in and try and, you know, move it on a little bit like AI has done with perform music. You know, I'm going to reconstitute this into something new. I'm going to try and add something to it. And what I'm going to add here is still, they're thinking in terms of a number one. They're still thinking in terms of the model that went in the old days, the period that has now died and moved into the past. You know, we no longer make romantic poetry. We no longer have a Hollywood studio system. We no longer have French salon painting, and we no longer have an era of rock. It's gone. We're into a completely different place. And the idea that the record that's at number one in the Billboard charts actually matters, right? It doesn't. And so the fact that AI is being used continually on YouTube, which is far more important than anything that is on the charts, right? Because it's being used there and those videos being seen. But I've used AI music on my videos loads and loads, right? So AI is in, and it's in the place where the money's being made. The Billboard number one doesn't matter anymore. This is not the future. Now in the new version of Logic that I've been using, and I haven't got the new version of Cubase, so I don't know how that works, but there's a couple of new things. One is the sort of AI mastering. So once you've got the track and you've mixed it and it sounds like a pile of rubbish, don't worry. Push the AI mastering button and it will fix it all for you. Oh, wonderful. And the other thing it's got in there now is it will use AI to strip stuff apart. So there used to be a real art to recording bands, because especially when they perform together, because when a band performs together, the drums will leak over the vocals a bit and the guitars will be on the drums, because especially if they're all in the same room. So studios try and separate everything, but there's still this stuff going on, and so you had to learn to mix properly, and you had to place things in certain places, EQ them, bring things up, put shelves to cut the bass out so the bass will go thin, and all that. Now you just can take that vocal, and if it's got a bit of drums on it, you just strip the drums off and AI will take it off, tune the vocal in for you. And so this is something that I feel nobody has really discussed. Is out there on the internet are millions of bootlegs of famous bands. Millions. They sound pretty rough, but there's millions out there. And it's now possible for an amateur person, not a professional, to take those bootlegs, pass it through that software, separate everything out into the drums, bass and guitar, and then reconstitute it and present a live album, which is that band, but you're not actually listening to them. You listen to the AI interpretations of what they were playing, and it will sound like a brilliantly recorded album. It may even sound better than some of the actual albums from that time. And the same could go for remixing studio albums. This is something no one has discussed. I actually did this on a video where I looked at the Mahavishnu bootlegs, and the opening film of the Mahavishnu, well, the music that you hear at the beginning, I basically took that, and then on Moises, which is a free app online where you could get it, and it's separated out into drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, and then I remixed it. So there is so much more to this, than just, it's going to replace musicians. I don't actually think that's the issue. The drum machine, its effect wasn't to replace drummers, it was to change the sound of drummers. And what it did is it took the sort of individuality and swing and feel out of drumming. So drummers now play a lot straighter. And so when a drummer goes into a studio, they have to play to a click, and the producer's watching them and they're on like this playing, and any inconsistency is spotted, and then the computers will draw that out. So it's not the fact that the drum machine replaced drummers. Of course that's happened. I would say 99% of drum parts that will be created today in various studios, both amateur and professional, will be created on a drum machine of some sort, or at least on a computer emulating a drum machine. So, but it's actually changed how we perceive rhythm. And the thing that we need to get into here, which requires more discussion, is the fact that the machine has changed people's taste, in that when they were first introduced, despite the fact that the industry thought no one's going to dance to a machine, the audience prefer to dance to a machine. They prefer to listen to the vocals that are tuned in. None of this happened because the audience don't like it. They haven't been fooled. They actually prefer that sound. They like machine-based music, and I think the reason for that is because when you're dealing with music, and this is an incredibly elitist thing to say, but there's some people that have a certain taste over here. How do I say this without sounding like this elitist? And there's some people who have a different type of taste, and there's a joy in between. So, for example, if I was to read Shakespeare or watch a Shakespeare play, I just don't know what they're going on about at all. And they come on, and it's like, and they go, forsooth, so thee would be a sword between two twixt, and a twixt between two trees is nothing but... And I'm watching it, and I'm going, what are they on about? I don't understand it. You know why? Because I'm stupid. When it comes to Shakespeare, I'm stupid. If I did the work and the study, I would get it, and perhaps I would get something from it because I'd done that work. I would get something that was more mind-blowing than just sitting down and watching the Dam Busters, made in 1955, which is a film that sort of thing. That's my Shakespeare. My Shakespeare would be Jason and the Argonauts. That's my Shakespeare, right? So we have to be aware of this, that the music audience goes from people who are like me when it comes to Shakespeare at this end when it comes to music, and they're quite happy to listen to something just ticking along, singing a nursery rhyme over the top, to people over here. Now, the music industry, when it first started, was interested in selling records to people who liked music, but we've forgotten that. But that's still there. There are always going to be people who like real music and have worked at becoming good listeners, which I think is something that we should, as an industry, should be pushing. He's talking now, his mouth's moving, and then there's this awful music in the background. This chirpy, awful, nondescript music is chirping away in the background. Background music, that's supposed to make this easier for me. And I'm actually, because I'm a musician, I'm switching off, and he's just going, blah, 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 and his mouth's going like this, while this awful stuff sticks in the background. And you've got to understand that in the old days, that type of background music or feature film music and all this sort of stuff, which ran from works of genius by Bernard Herrmann or John Williams to just awful music, behind some advert for Snickers bar or something. All that had incredible stuff in, but that work was few and far between, because the media industry in the old days was just this one thing. And if you were lucky enough to work here, that's the case. Now, what we've gone through is a media explosion. And so this is going on all the time. And this is where AI will be used in the end. This is the big thing. And you can't ignore the fact that this music in the background that's chirping along behind this could well be AI. And even I don't care about that. Right, so AI is going to be like this workhorse. And now the thing is, it's a shame, because what you have to understand is the business model now, if you want to make money and you're a musician, is on YouTube or selling stuff, which means marketing through TikTok or maybe Instagram and channeling people to something you're selling. And that thing may not be an album, it might be something else. There's also live shows and things like that, but that's difficult because you have to have some sort of legacy to do live shows. A video on modern income streams for musicians might be really useful. I've done a video for my patrons recently where I've really said that the big problem here is most musicians have been brainwashed to think it's 1995, so they think they're being professional in what they're doing, but what they're doing is actually working against them, because they absolutely don't know where the income streams are, they don't know where the business is, and they see things like YouTube as an add-on which they're going to do to somehow grab an audience to direct them to buy their album or buy their ticket. And the two things they don't understand there is that A, no, your main thing's the YouTube, and B, your video will just be trying to sell, and people don't want that. They want something they can actually get their teeth into and enjoy. So you have to become something else. And then the musicians go, oh well, I didn't want to be a television presenter. I wanted to play guitar. That none of this has changed. In the old days, if you wanted to play guitar, then you had to become a pop star, which is basically a film star with a guitar around their neck. You had to look good and have a nice haircut and you be cute and all that type of stuff. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed until you realise that there's this great glob of rubbish, and there always will be. In the arts, there's always will be this great glob of rubbish. And in a postmodernist world, we have swallowed the idea that came from postmodernists, and it's a good idea that actually in this dross here, in the popular music, there are little jewels, there's things that actually are profound, and there are. But that was at a period when that postmodernist idea actually meant something, and so that did happen. Now if you go and look at music in the charts, there's nothing profound there now. There's no jewels there now. There's nothing that you can go and listen to something like, like Have You Been Falling in Love with Someone by, I don't know what the actual title of that track is, by the Undertones. That track, that's a very pithy, punky pop song. But when you listen to it, it's also profound. But that doesn't happen anymore. And the reason for that is because the music industry has become elitist, so there's not normal people making music anymore. And so there's not normal people singing about normal life and being normal, and actually being normal has become a thing that we don't want to present. You've got to be a superstar arriving in a Lamborghini with a big entourage of beautiful people around you, you know, walking slow motion up the stairs into some house that nobody could afford. It's that this, we have to understand the cultural aspects. You've got to sit back and understand the cultural aspects that are going on with this. And that is what nobody is talking about. And this is just, it's talking on the surface, really. It's talking about, oh, and it's all coming from, will there be an industry? Can we work in it? No, nobody is working in it. It's a bunch of people talking that don't actually make any money out of the industry. Go, oh, well, God, what happens if everything changes? And we have this new music industry that I also don't make any money out of. It's just bonkers. It's what you have to understand the cultural forms. And the trouble with talking about culture nowadays is if you talk about culture, there are people that will try and control what you say. It's all about the control of language nowadays. It's all about the control of words. People understand that words and image create a power. And if you can control that, you can control the way culture moves. That's the problem. And so I see this as become very sensitive to this. In fact, there could well be a very big announcement related to this on this channel, the way things are going, because, you know, now I am on YouTube and I feel compelled to tell the truth as I see it, as the postmodernists would say, you know, to tell my truth. But I don't think it's my truth. I think it's something that is an aesthetic truth, which doesn't really exist. An aesthetic truth is really, it's really relaying the idea of beauty or lack of beauty. It's saying, I don't think this is an ugly thing. You see, people are trying to control that at the moment. And if we go back to the idea of AI, that idea of being controlled, you know, the idea of living in an autocracy as opposed to a democracy, the way to do that is to control the arts. And if you've got AI, it's on prompts. I've done a video on AI, and as soon as I got into it, straight away I hit the wall of their absolute moral view of the world. Straight away, I couldn't do what I wanted to do because the AI was saying, "No, I'm not allowed to do that." Right? I was trying to make an AI person take the mickey out of me, and so say terribly insulting things about me. I was trying to get this AI character to come up with stuff like that, and it wouldn't. So I wrote something very offensive about me, and it wouldn't put it out because it said it was offensive. So this is where we're at with this, you know, and worrying about whether guitarists won't get any work because, you know, there'll be an AI guitar is not really the issue for me. I made dance music, and I realized very quickly that what you were doing when you made dance music was just regurgitating other music. It was a different skill. It is a skill, but it's a skill very similar to a DJ that has someone else's record, you know, so they're sat there with their records. I've got a ton of records down here, and everyone's dancing away, and they're going, what do I really need to play next? And they go through, and they think, maybe Camel, maybe they want a bit of Camel, you know, or perhaps, I don't know, a bit of Gil Evans. I think Gil Evans is going to make them go through the roof at the moment, you know, or, oh, I've got it, let's give him some Spyro Gyra. You know, it's that thing of being able to choose the right track at the right time. By the way, that was ironic. If you were in a nightclub and everyone was dancing, the last thing you would ever want to play them is The Snow Goose by Camel. And if anyone's going, oh my God, Andy's got a copy of The Snow Goose. Yeah, I've gone and got one because in the future, I'm going to sit down and listen to The Snow Goose again because I heard it many years ago. I hated it. I never went and really checked out any Camel. The Camel I did check out, I went there with the prejudice. So I'm now going to sit down at my age, after criticising Camel on so many videos, to sit down with an open mind, and I'm probably going to love it, aren't I? But that's a completely different thing. We're going off at a tangent here because I'm getting fed up with this. Shall we carry on? If you look at my channel and you see the trajectory, more and more I have tried, and it's a very difficult thing to do, but I have tried to be as natural and normal as I possibly can. So let's look at the construction of this video, the way I've done it, right? I was supposed to go to my studio today, but I can't make it, and I'm on a schedule, and I thought I need an extra video. Right, this is exactly what happened. Okay, I need an extra video. So I sat down. I thought, what shall I do? I'll do something in here. I'm in my bedroom now again, so I've got a nice white wall. I set all this up so I can be in this platonic space and look professional. But in reality, I'm just sat in my bedroom. And I thought, let's do a reaction video. So I go onto YouTube. I look at my feed and I scanned down and I saw the first music video that looked interesting. I clicked on it and I thought I will react to it. And this is exactly what I'm on about. You can hear that sound in the background, the bells. Right, I'll tell you what's going on there now. So I knew that what you would get would be my raw reaction. You would get my raw thoughts. Now I'm hoping, I've worked enough in the industry and I've got a sort of an interest in philosophy and cultural sort of machinations, that I'm hoping I could come up with something interesting and add to this, and not just be like many YouTubers just trotting out the same stuff and just trying to get the clicks. I'm hoping that's the case. But the way I'm doing it is by being as idiosyncratic and as me as I possibly can, of getting my words wrong, making mistakes, getting my facts wrong, and it basically going like that it's real life, that you've got a slice of real life. And that's the one thing AI can't do. It can come along maybe and do an impersonation of me and do all the stuff that I do, but if it does that, then I'll come up with something else, right? Because life is random, and I think that's the thing with AI. It cannot create the randomness. So I've got this old mobile phone, and I thought, what's this phone work? And I plugged it in the other day, and it wasn't charging. But the thing was, secretly it was charging. I didn't realise, and eventually it's charged itself up, but the screen doesn't work. It's just a black screen, so it's dead. But someone set an alarm on it, right? And I've put it somewhere in this room, and it keeps going off like this. Now, I'm trying to switch the thing off and get into it, but it's all frozen. I can't get, so I'm going to have to wait for the battery to run out, and I'm going to have to live with that going in the corner of my room. I could put it in some sort of box and bury it somewhere. But the fact is that when that went off then, rather than me going, oh my God, it's ruined my video, they'll hear that and they'll think I'm unprofessional. What I do now is I go, how does that relate to what we're talking about? And the relation is that AI wouldn't do this. It would only do this when it goes, oh, this nutty YouTuber did this thing where he had things going off in the background, and then it will do it. But then I will be onto the new thing. And where's the new thing coming from? It's not coming from me. I ain't the creative genius. All I'm doing is letting the bizarreness of the world naturally come through. And the one thing is, the world is strange and bizarre, and it throws up all sorts of weird coincidences and happenings. And if you could open yourself up to that, that is what I think AI cannot do. It can only do what went before. It cannot look into the future. And one of the great things about human beings, albeit it causes anxiety and depression and all sorts of mental illnesses, is that we look into the future, and we gaze into the future based upon the past, but with this bizarre ability to reform the future. And that is based upon our aesthetic view of the world and what we think could be good. Right, and that comes from the arts. And when you're living at a time when you've got people all over the world using modern technology to kill the other side as much as they possibly can, and that awful industrialized carnage we're seeing, which is just, I'm not on anybody's side when it comes to this. That's ugly. And the artists that are portraying its ugliness are the artists that we should thank. We see that ugliness and we have to build a better future. Right, and AI can't do that. Human beings can't do that. And I'll tell you why. Because AI's interest fundamentally will be the programmed in interest of the political elite that's gone before, that's caused the problems, or it will be the interests of AI. Human beings, we should be interested in our future together, and we should be able to talk to each other and not try and shut each other down because we don't agree. We have to find a way in the middle, you know, not reject what's going on. Anyway, I've come up to 30 minutes. That's not going to stop, is it? Thanks for watching this video. I will stop that screen grab. and I will stop this. If you like this video, please stick a like on it. If you want, I was just about to do that. I got to be honest, I didn't plan to do this video today. I got a really good video planned where I was going to talk about pitch and harmony. I've done preparation for it, and I know exactly what I was going to say. Then I couldn't get to the studio, and I thought I'll do this one. But I actually think I've said a couple of things in here to do with AI that are pretty worthwhile, and I haven't heard anywhere else. I think probably, I don't know. And so I feel it's a good thing to do. You know, we're all in this together. We're all trying to, you know, get to a better future, aren't we? And I think that's really is. So next time the conversation comes up about AI, stick that in the back of your mind, right? Doesn't matter what it does or what it doesn't do. The fact is how do we build a better future? That's the thing. That's the thing you put in your head to counteract what is all the threat and worry, because that's fundamentally what we've got going on. Yes, I've said something reasonable, positive, with the lovely tinkly bells in the background accompanying me, a little bit like that cruddy AI music in the background on there. You see how it's all come together at the end? Right. Thanks for watching the video. Stick a like on it, stick a subscribe on it, and if you want to become a patron, I've got a Patreon down below. And if you want to put some money in my PayPal tip jar, there's also a link down below to that. Thanks so much. I'll see you on the next video.